situation. They say Burnitz tends to experiment too much with his swing and get out of sync. But in 2004, he was reunited with his original pro manager, Clint Hurdle, with the Colorado Rockies. And Burnitz was able to focus on a basic hitting approach. It paid off with some rare consistency for him. He sits on a fastball early in the count and can be fooled with off-speed pitches, particularly away because he's trying to yank everything. Here are the numbers on Jeremy Burnitz: 283, 37 homers, 110 RBIs, but 124 strikeouts. That's something the Cubs won't want. Is Jeremy Burnitz the best option for the Cubs in right field right now? Maybe. You know, they were taking a hard look at Maglio Ordonez, the longtime star on the Chicago White Sox. Mags was commanding too much money and wanted too many years. I think the Cubs were only willing to give Mags a 1 or 2 year deal to come to the Cubs, and Mags was looking for longer. He has knee problems, Mags does. He had the knee surgery in Vienna, Austria, and a lot of teams are concerned that his knee may not be 100%. Now we're taking a look at Jerry Hairstin Jr. We've talked about him. He's the kid from Naperville, second baseman from the Orioles, coming to the Cubs. He grew up a Sox fan. His father played for the Sox. He will now be on the Cubs. And Jerry Hairstin, a guy, is going to get an opportunity to play. The Cubs, I know, would probably like him to be their starting left fielder and potentially their leadoff man, because the leadoff spot in the Cubs order has been a bit of a concern throughout the offseason. Who is going to be the leadoff man? Is Corey Patterson a true leadoff man? You know, he has the tools and he has the speed, but that doesn't necessarily mean that Corey Patterson is the right guy to become the leadoff man on the Cubs. Jerry Hairstin Jr. has some speed, and they think that his on-base percentage is high enough that he may be able to fill that role. Todd Walker, another option at the top of the Cubs order if it comes to that. We're looking once again live at the podiums, both in Baltimore, Maryland, and at Wrigley Field on the north side of Chicago, where we're anticipating 2 press conferences, one in Baltimore to introduce Sammy Sosa, the trade official today, where Sammy becomes a Baltimore Oriole, and a press conference at Wrigley Field, not only for the general manager of the Cubs, Jim Hendry, to address the Sosa trade and talk about what prompted him to make the deal, but also to introduce Jeremy Burnitz, the man who was expected to replace Sammy Sosa as the right fielder on the Cubs. We're going to take a break now, but we will get back to you live when either of those press conferences begins. You're watching continuous coverage of the Sammy Sosa trade on CLTV. I'm Mike Bloomberg. Baltimore, as well as of the Cubs presser with reaction at Wrigley Field. Yes, it now seems to all be official. The Cubs' all-time leader in homers, now a member of the Baltimore Orioles after the much-talked-about trade, finally cleared all the hurdles that needed to happen today. The physical has been taken by Sammy, and he's a healthy man, and the commissioner of baseball, Bud Selig, has apparently approved the deal. Sammy traded for Naperville native Jerry Hairstin Jr. and a pair of minor leaguers as part of the deal, with the Cubs expected to pay $12 million of Sammy's $17 million salary this season. So clearly they want him to go. Phil Rogers from the Tribune has called it a salary dump. Clearly the Cubs are eager to move him after a year where Sammy's numbers on the field took a nosedive. He hit just .253, and he complained about the spot in the batting order as well as being injured, and he walked out on his team the final game of the season. That's the one thing that everyone finds to be the most inexcusable of them all. And the Cubs were expecting a major feeding frenzy at the Cubs convention not too long ago. Jim Hendry saying, we're going to try to sit down with Sammy and welcome him back, and that would have been a very, very interesting thing. And a lot of people feel the Cubs have the talent in place. If the pitching's healthy and everybody plays the way they're expected to play, they have a real shot this year of finally getting to the next step and playing in a World Series. And that might have been made very difficult if the chemistry was hurt with a guy like Sosa being back on the team. So the trade about to be announced that would send Sammy to Baltimore. They're going to announce Sammy's heading to Baltimore and Jerry Hairstin coming to the Cubs at the same time. Cubs also expected to introduce Jeremy Burnitz, who is rumored to have signed a 1-year deal with the Cubs worth $4.5 million. He would replace Sammy in right field, but Burnitz not likely to duplicate the power numbers that Sammy put up in '98 and '99 when he was one of the best in the game. And Burnitz, a guy you got to worry about. We've talked about it. He strikes out a lot. Last season he hit .283 in Colorado. A lot of those numbers were put up at Coors Field, where you see the ball flies out. 37 homers, 110 RBIs, 124 strikeouts, the number on Jeremy Burnitz. That's not good. Now, I was talking about the 2 press conferences taking place at the same time. It seems to be a little bit more than a coincidence that the Cubs would hold theirs at the same time as the Orioles out in Baltimore, but clearly the Cubs trying to deflect all the attention being on Sosa. They want some of the attention too. They want to give their side of it and talk about the trade and introduce Jeremy Burnitz, who has had some very, very big at-bats when he was with the Milwaukee Brewers at Wrigley Field. They're hoping that ballpark will be very kind to him the same way that Coors Field was kind to him last season. Sammy Sosa about to become a Baltimore Oriole. He will go down in the record books as one of the greatest Cubs of all time. Right now, it's hard to see it that way, but the numbers don't lie. First in homers, second in extra base hits, and third in RBIs. He was part of that battle with Mark McGwire back in 1998 for the all-time home run record in one season. Is Sammy Sosa the best Cub of all time? I don't know. It's really hard to put him ahead of guys like Ernie Banks and Billy Williams, that is for sure. But Sammy has got to be up there, at least numbers-wise. And we'll see, 10 years from now, will Sammy Sosa, maybe will Cub fans come back and, give him some of the props that, he probably deserves. Right now, they're very upset at what happened last season, and everybody pretty much eager to get him out of town. At the Cubs convention, when his face came up on the big screen, everybody booed Sammy Sosa. So clearly a lot of the fans, not on Sammy's side, they want to get him out of town, and now that has happened. So Sammy to become a member of the Baltimore Orioles, it's probably a good risk for Baltimore. They're getting him for relatively cheap because the Cubs are picking up $12 million of the $17 million. So the Orioles only have to pick up $5 million this year. And if Sammy even hits 35 home runs like he did last year, which was a down year for him, that's more than anyone on Baltimore had last season. So Sammy will beef up the Orioles lineup to help them become a little bit more competitive against the Yankees and Red Sox in the American League East. But at the same time, the Orioles are void of pitching, which is something the Cubs consider a strength. And pitching is something you're going to need when you face those tough lineups that the Yankees and the Red Sox have. We're awaiting both press conferences for the Sammy Sosa trade in both Baltimore and at Wrigley Field. Wrigley Field, everybody's getting set up, so you know something is going to happen shortly. The Cubs announcing this press conference not because of the Sammy Sosa trade, but more so to announce the signing of Jeremy Burnitz, their new free agent signing. He is the right fielder who will be on the Cubs this season. He is expected to start in right field. They do have other options. Todd Hollandsworth is an option. Jeremy Du Bois is an option. He put up great numbers at AAA Iowa last season as well as in the bigs with the Cubs. Jerry Hairstin Jr., the guy the Cubs are getting in the trade, the Naperville native, he's going to get every opportunity to win the starting job with the Cubs in left field. Can he replace Moises Alou? I don't think so. I don't know if Jerry Hairstin Jr. is going to put up those Moises Alou's power numbers, but this is a guy with a lot of potential that the Cubs have been looking at for a while. The White Sox were looking at him too. He has a lot of ties to that organization because his father, Jerry Hairstin Sr., played there for 14 years. A lot of Sox fans during the 80s remember that. Well, we're going to take you to both of these press conferences, but first we're going to take you to the one at Wrigley Field where GM Jim Hendry is expected to address the media about both the Sosa trade and the signing of Jeremy Burnitz. Right now, Jim Hendry taking the podium at Wrigley Field. Let's listen in on what the GM of the Cubs has to say.
How you doing? I thought I'd go over the spring training reporting dates today with you. No, we're here to announce, obviously, the finalization of the trade to the Baltimore Orioles. The Cubs have traded Sammy Sosa and cash considerations for Jerry Hairstin Jr., infielder Mike Fontenot, and right-handed pitcher Dave Crothers. Coinciding with that, we're also here to announce that we have agreed to terms with free agent outfielder Jeremy Burnitz today on a one-year deal and a mutual option for the second year. Obviously, it's an historic day. It's a day that we feel is in the best interest of all parties. It's a good situation for Sammy. It's a good situation for the Baltimore Orioles, and it's also something that we feel is in our best interest to do today also. So it's what you would have liked to had the final result be, that everybody feels like it's the right thing to do. Obviously, Sammy has done tremendous things for this organization and for the game. And, we feel strongly that we should dwell on the positives that he's done for this franchise in a time when we needed it, certainly, and when the game needed it. The great things that he did in the 4 or 5 year stretch that he had of monumental significance. So that's how we would like to look at it. That it's time to move on. You know, sometimes in life change is good. In this situation, I think that it's a good thing for everyone, and we'll move forward. Obviously, we wish him the best. Certainly, he'll hit his 600th home run this year, and I think it's a great thing for the Baltimore Orioles franchise too.
Jim, now that it's done, why did Sammy Sosa have to be traded?
Well, he didn't have to be traded. Like I said all along, I think it got to the situation where this trade we felt was good for us also. As we said we would do. We weren't going to do anything that wasn't good for us. I think Sammy would tell you too that this was in his best interest and something that he wanted to do. And certainly the way the contract was structured and the way a trade had to be consummated the way it was written, that obviously Sammy had to sign off on wherever a potential deal was to be made. So this was a place that he felt very good about, a place that he felt that he would obviously accept a situation that did not go by the standard contract the way it was written. And so I think in the overall picture, like I said, it's a good fit for him, it's good for the Orioles, and it's also good for the Cubs as we move forward.
Jim, what's it also obviously with the chemistry? Does it help the chemistry? I mean, maybe you could have got back together and kissed and made up, but on the other hand, maybe you couldn't.
Well, you know, chemistry is an impossible word to describe. You know, there weren't a lot of bad chemistry stories written the year before when we, you know, won the division, got in the playoffs, and obviously Sammy was a big part of that. So I don't put a lot of stock in that. If Sammy had been back, obviously there was some fences to mend. But you know, this is professional sports. You know, they can be mended, and with the right amount of contrition and a few meetings, you know, I think things could have been worked out to where everyone got through it. So and we still could have been a successful club. Obviously, we feel that this situation now is, you know, better for us. You know, it changed the complexion of our club a little bit in a good way. We obviously added a very versatile guy that we like a lot in Jerry Hairstin. He can play a lot of positions. He adds a speed dimension to us that we didn't have too much of. He's proven that he can play a lot of places, and he's you know, got a lot of years ahead of him. So he's a good fit for us. You know, the other prospects, obviously when trades are made without big league household names, those are the secondary guys in the deal. But these are, you know, Fontenot's a former first-round pick, a quality second baseman, a left-hand hitter, top-of-the-order type guy too, 1 or 2 type hitter. And Crothers is a guy that has an outstanding arm, 93, 95 miles an hour. Good.
Apparently, we just lost our signal from Wrigley Field. That's the Cubs general manager, Jim.
It gives us a lot of balance. We got better defensively in a lot of ways. You know, Jeremy's a gamer and a 30 home run plus guy most of his career. So, you know, we feel good about the changes that were made, and you know, we look forward to getting after it here in a few weeks in Mesa.
Jim, did you or Dusty talk with Sammy at all during this process when the trade was being completed?
No, I did not talk to Sammy personally. I obviously talked on a regular basis to Adam Katz, who obviously was the mediator, and you know, obviously he talked to Sammy quite a bit. And it was a different kind of trade than I've ever been a part of before, because the trade wasn't going to be made without obviously a collaborative effort between you know, Sammy and his agent and the other ball clubs. So it was a little bit of a unique situation for us to go through something like that. But I think in the end we got the best solution for everybody at a place that he really you know, had a desire to go to.
Was Baltimore the only serious trade possibility you have? How long have you actually been working on it where you thought you could make it?
Well, you know, obviously we talked, as I told all of the media, like from the winter meetings on, we had a variety of discussions, some serious, you know, some not. But obviously when you have a player like Sammy Sosa, people have to take interest. And then obviously the contract was something that each and every club looked at differently. And Sammy certainly had the right to veto trades based on a restructuring or non-restructuring of his contract. Probably had our first discussions with Baltimore, probably at Anaheim at the winter meetings. And they were probably, I would consider, you know, on and off serious at times, and then got real serious, obviously, at the end of last week.
Jim, what's the last 6 months been like for you personally dealing with this whole circus or soap opera?
Well, I don't look at it like that. I don't look at it as a circus or soap opera. Obviously, we did not end the season the way that we wanted to, and was our biggest disappointment. That is, not getting the playoffs is what really mattered. And then, just like anybody else in my position, you spend the winter trying to do something that makes you better, to make a better run at it the following year. So obviously, it was a tough thing to do because of the magnitude of Sammy and what he's meant to the franchise and the city and the game. But it's part of the job. It's just something that you do whatever you can in your heart that you think you make the ball club better going into 05. We think we're a better ball club, going into spring training than we were at the season ended, and that's not a reflection on Sammy or the other people that aren't coming back. We think we're better. We think we're healthier. And like I said, we're looking forward to the challenges of getting back to the postseason where we were the year before and where we failed last year.
Jim, was there a final straw in making this trade for you and Sammy? What happened at the convention? The fans.
No, that had nothing to do with it. I think, like I said, that all parties felt that possibly a change was needed. I think Sammy was prepared also to come back. When you have the magnitude of the contract the way it was written. And the 2006 salary, it was going to be a difficult contract to trade under those circumstances. And I just think that Sammy's cooperation and when he found a place like that Baltimore that had legit interest, that obviously that changed his thoughts on the second year of the contract.
Sure, was this an unprecedented deal from the standpoint that the Players Association and the commissioner had to get involved and give their okay?
I really don't know, Brad. I don't have a lot of experience, obviously, in the past of how contracts were done or trades were made like this, before I was the general manager. I really don't know. I'm sure that there wasn't money lost in the deal, obviously, the way it was written, because our 2005 commitment, was the salary plus the potential buyout. We were not obligated to a 2006 salary, so Sammy was not going to lose any money, even if the 2006 contract with the new team is not upheld.
What was Dusty Baker's reaction to this trade? You talked to him?
I spoke to him this morning and told him that I thought it would be final, once the physical was done. His reaction, I keep him posted what's been going on the last couple of weeks. His reaction, was not in any way, it was kind of unemotional, just kind of the same as I told you. It's just time to make the deal. We've done some good things now in the offseason we think made us better. He was excited about adding Hairstin and Burnitz and asked me about the prospects, which he always does. Obviously, in his world, he doesn't have the knowledge of minor league players. But when I told him about the scouts that saw these guys and the people that Kenny Kravik that scouts the organization, he was excited and ready to move on.
Jim, at the beginning of this process, did you ever think it would come down to the Cubs paying as much as they did in the trade? Did you expect that much money in the trade?
Well, the way I look at it, we added 4 players today. Under the financial guidelines of Sammy's salary and the buyout. So, I think a lot of it just depends on, contracts that you would take back. In this case, obviously, there was not a lot of dollars coming back from Baltimore. So, you have to put yourself in the other club's situation, too, where you're giving up a major league player, you're giving up 2 good prospects, and Sammy at this point in his career, it could be a 1-year deal for him, it could be longer. So, there's risk and reward on both sides. So I didn't look at it as anything monumental. I felt that if we were going to make a trade and a lot of dollars weren't coming back, like some of the names that was always mentioned in the media over the winter, some of those contracts would have been a lot more significant in dollars were taken back and maybe less cash going back.
In the dollars that you still have remaining, are you planning on using that for the end of spring training to add to your team?
I don't have a plan that we're going to go out and just add, dollars. Right now I have, just like we always do, we're always open for business. If a deal makes sense to make before camp, we will. If a deal makes sense during camp, we will. And obviously we've proven over the last couple of years that we make significant deals during the season. So I'm very happy with the club that we have now. it's not any great desire that we have to make a deal to add on before we get to camp.
Jim, will you talk about what Sammy's final legacy in your mind is here with the Cubs?
Well, I feel it should be a very, very strong positive thing. I think, honestly, despite what happened at the end of the season, I think that the overall, the magnitude of the criticism and the negativism, I think, is too harsh. I really think that what he did over a 5 or 6 year period here was phenomenal, and he did a lot for this game. You know, after the strike situation and the attendance down in a lot of places, what he and McGuire did for the game in '98 was huge. So I'm hoping that that he will not be viewed as someone that did a lot of wrong things, you know, in his last couple months on the job. As you all know, he was very accommodating to a lot of people, was great to the fans for a lot of years, and that's how he should be treated. I mean, when he's done, we're going to talk about, you know, 600 to maybe 700 home runs, and certainly a place in Cooperstown, and he did a lot of good things for this franchise, and I really, you know, I hate to see it be construed as such a negative thing.
Is there some sadness for you personally about this?
Well, I feel sad that, you know, I feel sad that it had to end the way that it did. You know, obviously he made some mistakes, you know, late in the year, but like I said, he really does deserve a better fate than what's been cast upon him the last couple of months.
Do you ever see a day when the Cubs' relationship with Sammy is repaired and he can come back here, get his number retired, any of that kind of stuff?
Well, I would hope so. I would hope that it will be repaired. I think that, you know, hopefully he ends his career there and has more than one good year, and it's good for the Orioles. And I think that's certainly possible. Obviously, he did a lot of good things and had a great relationship with Andy, you know, McPhail way before I was a GM, and obviously, you know, was part of not only the 60-plus home runs and great seasons, but also, you know, did a lot of good things for the organization behind the scenes. You know, he took care of a lot of people. You know, the way he gave his time and gave a lot of autographs, a lot of things he did for, you know, the marketing department, the people in the front office. You know, he did a lot of good things too. So it's like I said, it's very unfair to have it, see it get to the magnitude of the negativism that's happened.
Would all this have happened had he not walked out the last day, or were there other things that were leading up to this?
I really can't answer that. You know, like I've said all along, that if you know, you just don't trade people because a few things go wrong, and I certainly hope, as long as I have the job, that I would never make a trade that in my heart wasn't the best thing for the Cubs. You know, there's a lot of things that go wrong in a lot of organizations that they don't get the media attention, obviously, that this did. But at the same time, if that never happened, there still could have been a trade.
Joe, were you concerned at all that the trade not been made during the spring training circumstances?
No, I don't think so. I think that in-house it could have been certainly repaired to the level that everybody could have coexisted. Like I said before, you know, we all make mistakes. We live in a mistake-driven world at times. With the right amount of contrition and the right amount of honest dialogue between himself and his teammates and he and Dusty, that I think, you know, things could have been worked out. The world's full of history in sports where you've had a lot tougher things happen to people, or a player and a manager, or a player and a coach, that certainly people got through the next year and were still very successful.
Jimmy, if the Orioles get Delgado, do you think you're still trading Sammy? Do you still think you would have been standing here making a deal?
I have no idea. I never discussed that with Jim Beattie, and really that's their business, not mine. Yeah.
Did Sammy ever indicate in any way that he wanted to come back here for any of the people that you talked to?
You know, like I said, I did not talk to Sammy, but I spent a lot of time with Adam Katz. I think he was prepared for either result, you know, and was working hard, working out hard, and we probably weren't too far away from getting ourselves together with myself and Andy and probably Dusty and he, and try to get, you know, on the right ship before camp.
Jim, is it difficult to perhaps, I mean, to lose a home run and RBI caliber of Sosa in the same year?
Well, you know, you can look at it different ways. If everybody's back, then it's then the on-base percentage guys should have been brought in to make that higher, or better speed. So you can, a lot of different ways to skin the cat. I don't look at what Jeremy Burnitz has done lightly. You know, I think it's 30 home runs 5 of the last 6 years. coming off a great year. Hit over 300 with men on base. You know, he's a good outfielder. He's a gamer. Hits left-handed pitching well. And like I said, Hairstin adds a dimension to us that we needed. I think we need to remember how good Hollingsworth was last year before he got hurt, and we didn't skip a beat when he played every day before his injury. And we did a lot of work on his medical before we brought him back. And like I said, Jason Du Bois really gets swept under the carpet here unfairly. This is a guy that's done everything you could ever ask of somebody in the minor leagues. Power numbers, good batting average, good production, quality guy. So, you know, he deserves a chance to win some playing time too. So, you know, plus we have an infield that offensively is as good as anyone's. You know, we didn't have Nomar, but for 2 months, so we didn't have a completely healthy Nomar. There's a 3-hole hitter, MVP guy, batting titles. When your shortstops can bat third, you know, you're replacing some of the production you might have given up somewhere else in the outfield. So with Ramirez and Nomar and Lee and Walker and Barrett, you've got a well above average offensive infield that if you're missing some pop or home run production in one of the outfield spots, you can make up with a different kind of player.
Was Hairstin the major leaguer you wanted from Baltimore?
Yes, yeah, we really like him. We see him as way more than a you know, quality utility player. Like I said, Kenny Kravick is one of our top scouts, and he's been a big fan of Hairstin's, and really we've made some attempts in the past to talk about him for a variety of things, even without this kind of deal. He's a guy that we targeted as somebody that would help in an area that we are somewhat deficient at times.
So you foresee him as being your leadoff man while playing in several...
Well, that's up to Dusty, and like I said, we're in the earn it business, but we've got a very interesting situation now where you've got a lot of guys competing for a few spots. That's what you want. Like I said, we're fairly young in a lot of ways now, position player-wise. We're a little more athletic. We're a little better defensively. And we're a little better base running, you know, it's up to him. But he proved last year when late in the year he played in the outfield for Baltimore and played well.
At what point did you figure that Ordonez was probably not going to be in the mix for you?
Well, obviously you can't help but think the world of him as a player, and our respect for him is great. And certainly we did our homework. And we certainly had a lot of healthy discussions with Scott Boras in a very upfront and honest way. And basically we felt that where we wanted to go, you know, lengthwise and dollars, you know, wasn't in the ballpark of some of the offers that he might be receiving. And, you know, Scott has done a very good job, obviously, for his client in some of the offers that he's receiving, and it was just something that we felt the risk for the length that he's being offered and the dollars being offered, it didn't make much sense.
Why do you think people have bid on him without seeing his knee after 2 surgeries?
You'd have to ask them, you know, but you know, we do what's best for us, and truthfully, you know, obviously he's a player that who wouldn't want, you know, assuming health. And like I said, we had talked to Scott on a couple of different avenues of how we felt comfortable trying to make it work, and you know, he was very appreciative, but at the same time, you know, very honest about the fact that there was a lot more years and a lot more money already on the table.
Did you have any trade possibilities for an outfielder?
We explored a lot of things. Obviously, you know, at the same time, you never have a deal in place until it's done. At the time when we started to feel that a deal might happen with Sammy, some had outfielders in it. Obviously, some didn't. The potential of deals that weren't made or maybe, you know, could have been made. So we did explore, you know, we did our homework on Maglio. We certainly have always liked Burnitz, and we explored with 3 or 4 other clubs what were there potential trade for corner outfielders that would help us without significantly damaging our club and the players you go back, and we felt that Jeremy was the best avenue to go with.
Did your Ordonez people, Jim, ever show any willingness to let you work him out or see him do anything?
Yeah, Scott was very, you know, very cooperative. I think he's going to start having some regular workouts here coming up. It wasn't a matter of, you know, our doctors felt good about the doctors that have talked to him. I mean, they did enough homework to where they felt he was ready to start, working out hard. Obviously, that would have been something that we would have pursued harder if we felt the avenue we were going down contractually would have been a fit. Once we felt that that wasn't going to happen, then we felt like that we needed to go ahead and stay after Jeremy.
Jim, how
Seen him though? Had you seen him?
It would not have changed.
All right, that was Cubs GM Jim Hendry. We now take you live to Baltimore, where Sammy Sosa is meeting the media and talking about his trade to the Baltimore Orioles. Let's take a peek in. There you see Sammy getting prepared to put on the new jersey, the new 21, if you will, that of the Baltimore Orioles. And how many Cub fans ever thought about 3 or 4 years ago you'd be watching a scene like this? But anyway, here it is for you Cub fans and Baltimore Orioles fans. Let's listen to Sammy now at camp.
Thank you, everybody. Mr. Marsili, thank you, Flanagan. My friend, everybody's here. Before we continue to, I know why everybody's here at this moment, but I just want to take a minute and say that, I spent 13 years in Chicago. That was one of the beautiful 13 years in my life. I give Chicago everything that I have, and that was beautiful experience for my wife and my family, and I had a great time in Chicago, and it's something that I want to say that I always gonna love Chicago. I'm gonna take Chicago. They are in my heart, all the fans there, the organization, everybody treated me nice, and I love you, but we gotta move on. Now I'm here in Baltimore. And this is my new house, and I love it. How I look?
Good. What's the reaction? Luce como Sammy.
Believe it. Thank you.
We'll take a couple questions now.
Sammy, what went wrong with your relationship with Dusty? Was it when he dropped you in the batting order? Did you feel like you were showing lack of respect? Just how did things get so bad?
Well, really, I don't want to talk about the past. I'm in the future now. I'm here in a new house. Whatever happened, all my problem that I have in Chicago, just stay, behind. So I want to talk about the Baltimore Orioles, my new manager, my new franchise, and we together gonna do some good thing here in Baltimore. So, whatever happened for me, I don't regret it. Happened, but I love to move. I love to always go forward and move on.
Sammy, what kind of numbers do you think you can put up in this ballpark?
First of all, it's a beautiful ballpark. Not we all together. As the, we got a great lineup. I'm gonna have some good protection in the lineup. With my manager, whatever he want me to do, I'm here for the whole organization. I'm very happy. It's gonna be a beautiful year because I'm prepared for this. I'm happy, and I'm hungry.
You started in the American League. Do you see any major adjustment coming back to the league?
Well, for me, still the same game. Sometimes you gotta go with my manager and the scouting report, but baseball is making an adjustment, like you say, and I don't think it's going to take long for me.
Prove a point and get your numbers going up again after a couple of years with your power numbers going down?
Well, a lot of people say my number going down, but I was hurt. I was out for 40 games and I hit 35 home runs. I mean, come on.
At some point in the future, you will have to explain your actions leaving early last year for the last game before Cubs fans accept you again, embrace you again.
Well, I don't think that the Chicago Cubs fans, they never accept me. They always accept me. I believe that I have a great relationship with the all fans in Chicago. They support me. I support them. Trust me. I mean, Some situations sometimes that you got to deal in different way, but that's something that, you know, Chicago know that I love him, but, you know, it's something that now I'm here, I'm happy, and I don't want to go to too much detail. I just, you know, love Chicago, and we're going to love Chicago, but let's talk about Baltimore.
Sammy, why do you think why were the Orioles at the top of your wish list? We kept hearing and reading about the fact that this was the place that you wanted to come to. Why is that? How much of Miguel Tejada being here played a role in your decision?
Well, you know, think about it. I mean, Baltimore Orioles, you know, good young talents. I can be helpful in the, you know, in this ball club. I can help all the team. I mean, all the kids. You know, good franchise. And my presence here, you know, with my manager, Mr. Maselli, it's going to be unbelievable. So, and also is, you know, American League, and, you know, I think it's, you know, it fit perfect for me, and I'm very happy here.
Were you not happy last year in Chicago?
I've always been happy all my life. I'm just saying that, you know, for me, it was time to move on, and, you know, my staff, my agent, and everybody make that decision. I love Chicago. The organization was great, but for me personally, you know, I just had to move on, and that's how or why we, you know, we make that decision.
Sammy, when did you come to the realization? Excuse me. When did you come to the realization that your time in Chicago was going to be up?
I mean, I just saying to myself that, you know, I mean, you guys saw, you know, all the things that been happening, and myself, I'm a pride person, and I believe that it was the best for me to leave, and that's how I made that decision.
Did the animosity, perhaps, of Dusty Baker have a little something to do with it? I mean, because there were some words said at the end of the season that were not complimentary by him of you, a guy who, for 3 or 4 years, hit over 60 home runs for that ball club, carried that ball club after the strike, really got fans induced back into baseball again, and to be treated like that, I mean, you must have had some sort of bad feelings about it, especially being a pride guy that you say you are.
Well, that was a smart question. You know, I like I say, I mean, I'm a happy person, and you know, I'm not going to go through detail with you. I mean, everybody that know, you know, baseball, know there was time for me to leave, and I'm going to leave it there. And I'm happy, you know. I got a new manager, I got a new franchise, and that's why, you know, I'm so excited. So, you know, whatever happened in Chicago, I want to finish my career there, but don't happen. I got to move on. I'm here now in Baltimore, and I'm going to win the crowd.
Sammy, what should your legacy be? Because 13 years with one team, you're in the record books for the Cubs. When Hall of Fame comes calling, what should your legacy be?
My legacy is there. I haven't finished yet. It's still the best of Sammy Sosa is coming now. So it's one thing that you have to understand. You know, whatever happened in Chicago, the 13 years that I was there, that was good 13 years for me. But now I got a new house that I got to take care of.
How much better is it playing in that ballpark right behind you than where you were? You like that little corner down left field.
What about right field?
Well, that one too.
Well, I mean, I have to say that I've been blessed all my career, all my life, you know. And, you know, that's, you know, one of the blessings that God is always taking care of me. You know, meant to be, for me to be in Baltimore, and I'm here now, you know. It's a beautiful ballpark. It's a good hitting ballpark. It's perfect for me, so I'm going to take advantage.
And would you welcome a contract extension beyond a year?
I just got here, my friend.
Sammy, why was it time to leave Chicago? You said that it was time. Why?
Well, I really, you know, I had to say time because I'm not in Chicago no more, you know, and it's something that, you know, it meant to be for me to happen. I mean, it happened. I understand. I want to put that behind me, and I want to move forward. I don't want to go through all the detail that happened, what happened, you know, because this is not my style. I just want to be happy. I am right now. I'm very, very excited. I'm here. And that's something that, you know, made me very, very satisfied.
Your former teammates, some of them have criticized you. Message at all?
I just say, hopefully that they having a, good year and they got to move on, But I want to say something for those that say great thing and nice, and bad thing, that I still love them. I don't have, no hard feeling in my heart.
Sammy, Miguel Tejada is the leader of this team. Are you willing to share that? Are you going to let him do that? Where do you see your role?
I'm willing to share. No, he is the leader. I just got here. I don't have a problem with that. That's Miguel Tejada house, and I'm employed by Baltimore Orioles, and I'm going to come here to do my job.
Sammy, where were you? Who were you with when you heard about when you first heard about it?
Excuse me?
What was your reaction? Where were you? Who were you with when you first heard about it?
Well, you know what happened last year. I mean, and most of you know that, when I heard, that I just, have a chance to come here to Baltimore, I was happy because, like Tim Curtin said the other day, if I would come back to Chicago, it's not going to be the happy time after what happened. So we have to understand, we are a smart guy, and when it is time for you to go, even, you have a lot of memory there, you got to move on.
Hey, Sammy, in terms of the final day of the year, are you sorry the way that worked out as you look back at it, that you did end up leaving early there?
Hey, I'm not, I always believe in the future, and I think that it meant to be to happen. Because, when you go out there for 13 years, day by day, working hard, do the job, and, last year hitting 35 home runs, and people think that I was hitting 5 home runs. Oh, my goodness. So, it's like I told you, for me, that was time to go. And I love Chicago once again. I just, wish that I would have finished my career here, but it's not going to happen. Now I'm in Baltimore, and this is my new house.
How does it feel to come to work and see the Babe Ruth statue while you're chasing home run records yourself?
That's the Babe. He's the man, believe it or not. It doesn't matter, how I'm going to finish in my, in my career. He's still the man in my heart. And this is his land, too.
Sammy, what will Cub fans say at the end of this coming season?
Well, I don't have no idea, but I know that I'm going to take care of business. I know that I'm going to come here and work hard. We have a good idea. I just ready to speak to my manager. Hen and I are going to have an unbelievable relationship. And believe me, I can wait.
Sammy, now that you're with the Orioles, the challenge of this team is to overcome the Yankees and the Red Sox. As a member of this we now of the Orioles, how big is that challenge?
Well, Yankees and, and the Orioles, we really respect the Yankees and Boston, no question about it. But you have to remember one thing, when you play with the heart, it's different. So we had a young talent, young ball club, but we're here, to go out there, and fight, and we're going to fight.
Sammy, you said it was time to go. Was there any way that you could have come back to Chicago? I mean, could you have worked things out?
It's too late now.
600 to you?
Well, the 600 is going to come. What important to me is to have a great relationship with my manager and the whole team, and be working here. Regardless, no matter what happened, I'm going to pass that number anyway. So I'm not thinking about that. I'm thinking about be comfortable and relax and be loved again.
What does it take to have a good relationship with your manager? What does it take to have a good relationship with your manager?
We already have.
But what does it take?
We already have a good relationship. So.
What needs to be done on both sides to have a good relationship?
Nothing. I'm employee. Whatever he said, I'm going to do.
If you have any questions for Mike or Jim, they'll take some. Mike and Jim will be available for some one-on-one. Sammy has some other obligations, so we'll take about 2 more questions for Sammy.
Also, I'm sorry. It's my mistake. I just have to say thank you to Peter Angelo. He's the man. Make everything possible. I'm sorry, but you're the man. So thank you for that, and thank you for to let me be here and finish my career here.
And how important is it to stay here beyond 2005?
Like I said, I just got here. I'm so happy that I'm here, and I'm gotta go out there and just continue to do my job. Beyond whatever it is in the future.
Will you continue your same routine, spreading out the right field to start games?
If all the fans here in Baltimore want me to, definitely we're going to continue doing that.
Sammy, for a player who's been loved all his career, most of his career, how important is it for you to have that love relationship again with the fans?
Once again, I mean, the fan, that was, they are the fan. Normally, they have the right to do whatever they want, and I don't blame nobody for that. It's something that I never going to say no or yes. I'm never going to blame nobody. I'm gonna go blame myself. And right now, I mean, what happened in Chicago, I move on. I'm not there no more. It's got me exciting because I have another challenge to go.
Does it hurt you to leave Chicago?
I always say that I want to finish my career in Chicago. I always maintain that. But just like a marriage, sometimes you gotta get a divorce.
Does somebody in Chicago owe you a boombox?
Excuse me?
Someone in Chicago owe you a boombox?
No, because I got a new one here.
I mean, part of the legacy for players, great players, is winning. A team that hasn't won since 1997. Do you feel that you have the opportunity, that you can make the difference for this team to help bring them back to a winning season?
Definitely, with the chance that we have and, the way that people work on me here, we're going to do some good things together. And it's a young talent, ball club. We're going to do something here, and we're going to move on. I mean, we're going to surprise a lot of people. Now, it's different. The whole, organization, they're very happy that young talent, because I'm part of the team. And this is going to be exciting. This is going to be incredible. Already. He's in Mexico, Mazatlan.
Thank you very much, folks. Jim.
So the Sammy Sosa trade is official. Sammy is now a member of the Baltimore Orioles. And guys, it was interesting to watch your reactions in the course of these press conferences.
Is it over?
You guys all had to go through press conferences, and Jim, I imagine you're the one that
really wouldn't address the incident at the end of the season where he walked out on the team. He also wouldn't address being moved down in the batting order, and he also wouldn't talk about his manager, Dusty Baker, from last season, and if there were any hard feelings. But he said you all saw what happened, and he thought it was time to leave. He also expressed that he did want to finish his career in Chicago, but that it just wouldn't happen. And near the end of the press conference, he said that, his situation with the Cubs was like a marriage, but sometimes you have to get divorced. Sammy Sosa appears very happy to be a Baltimore Oriole. The Cubs to move on without him. We will have much more on this story coming up on CLTV News throughout the evening, as well as on Sports Page live at 9. I'm Mike Bloomberg, CLTV Sports.
Life is a series of snapshot moments full of expression. Hi, I'm Cheryl Teagues. We all